Darkness no longer, a child is born. Mother shed tears of joy as baby tests his lungs. But daddy's not there where he ought to be. Somewhere in Georgia, skinning and shooting craps on his knees. Another victim born out here in the hood. And based on statistics, it really ain't all good. Welfare takes the tab, and daddy can't sign, and it can't be seen. The family becomes a crime. The hunt is on, and brother, you're the prey. Serving time in jail, it just ain't the way. I'm living so hard, babe, that my hair's gray. We got to make a change. It's a brand new day. A new world order, a brand new day. It's a new day. A change of mind for the human race. It's a new world order, a brand new day. A change of mind for the human race. Operation in flux, and it's on the way. We just marched 1 million plus the other day. Look, we all witnessed the sweat rolling down Miss Liberty's head. She knows the sleeping giant's no longer sleeping dead. Oh, what a fulfillment of prophecy. Let us teach the children freedom's never been free. It's okay to cry, go ahead and cry. 'Cause Jesus wept, but hope and faith be kept. It's a new day. World order, a brand new day. It's a change of mind for the human race. It's a new world order, a brand new day. It's a change of mind for the human race. The die has been cast, and there's no need to fear. 'Cause people, the answer to your prayers are here. Sister Mary, don't you weep. Tell Martha not to moan. We need the love, and Daddy's coming home. There's no need to worry. The times dictate a plan. Mother Earth's given birth to a brand new man. Sister, I know you're misunderstood, but hold on to your man. 'Cause the future looks good. It's a new day. A new world order, a brand new day. It's a new change of mind for the human race. A new world order, a brand new day. It's a change of mind for the human race. Beware of the lies and false prophecy. We are many with eyes, but don't all really see. You must be merciful, my friend, to obtain the same. So if you break the chain, don't pass the blame. We should say unto all, and I'll say it again, it's not just to win. Shake a hand, make a friend. We who are pure at heart somehow might see there's still light in the world. Come rejoice with me. It's a new day. A new world order, a brand new day. It's a change of mind for the human race. It's a new world order, a brand new day. A change of mind for the human race. It's a new day, a new day. 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 It's a brand new day.
Yeah, brothers and sisters, it's definitely a new day. And with this new day brings new possibilities. As always, I thank everybody for coming out and spending some time with me and Coach T. We're going to talk about a subject that I haven't talked about in a while concerning the contract and the common law trust. And it's interesting because the common law trust, when you understand the concept a trust, it's just like it states, it's based on trust. And unfortunately, brothers and sisters, I got to keep it. We melanated people, because of our circumstances and what we have been through and continue to go through, I consider that one of the weakest point in us. Difficulty in trusting each other. And it's ironic because without trust, you can build absolutely nothing. If you ever been in a situation where you have an opportunity to build, as you well know, it starts trusting. Because outside of you, it's going to take people to build whatever you're trying to build. I don't know. I don't care what it is. You're going to have to trust someone outside of yourself in order to build whatever you're trying to build. I think that's one of the greatest mistakes that we make as a people, thinking that we can build something by ourselves. And I don't know how many times we have to because of our inability to build something by ourselves based on our inability to trust the people that we need to trust in order to build what we can build. And you see, that's a reality, brothers and sisters. I've been around our for a long time. It's instilled in us. We still have a hard time trusting one another. So it's only fitting that I pick a topic that requires trust. The very name dictates trust. But brothers and sisters, when you understand the power behind trust, you will want to take the time to do whatever necessary to overcome inability. Because once ain't no stopping us at all. Once we learn how to trust each other and build on that trust, that's what it takes. And so I'm very excited about this particular podcast because we're going to talk things that's going to require us to trust one. And I'm going to, by two individuals who are not in trust, and they are contributors to two very important books about trust that I encourage everyone to read. Also, in this video, following him for maybe 10, 15 years. He's a very, very progressive brother. And that's why he talks about things that normally so-called black community don't talk about. And he's a teacher. He helps break down these very complicated concepts to the everyday person like me and you. And so he's been doing this for some time now. And so we'll be hearing a video where he's interviewing two people on the common law trust. But before I start the video, or as the video begins, he's going to be talking to one of his callers. And I want to play this because I want people to understand that what we're doing is not easy. Again, based on trusting our people. You know, our people are very hard on us. You know, they're very critical on us. And he's going to convey somewhat of frustration that he has in dealing with our people. And I want you to hear this frustration. Because although he's been doing it for a long time, giving out this pertinent information that we definitely need to understand and use, think about the attitude of some of the people that he talks about who are very unappreciative of this information, mainly because they don't understand it. Because if you truly understand what this brother is bringing to the table by way of his guests, you would show it by your actions. But this is part of the how can I say? This is part of the challenge in dealing with our people, because of the fact that they will have an opinion about something that they have not even clearly studied themselves, nor have they understood what they study. Because you would know, because of the fact that if you're able to comprehend it, then you can tell by the response that they have, that if they did listen to it, they surely didn't understand what they were listening to, based on their behavior, based on their response. And I get that also. You know, it's part of the it goes with the territory when you bring knowledge to the table that most of us haven't studied, it's not part of their everyday way of having information that they obtain. You know, I mentioned I think last week or a week ago, or maybe 2 weeks ago, where I said that, you know, in order to make a paradigm shift, in order to shift your paradigm, it's based on new knowledge. You know, that's the only way that you're going to be able to make a paradigm shift. And so if you are keeping this old knowledge that's giving you the same results and keeping you stuck in the same situation, and then when new knowledge like knowledge of trust or the knowledge of statehood coming out of the United States jurisdiction, knowing international law, you know, knowing that you're not black, colored, African American, Indian, none of those misnomers, that were given to you by the colonizers to keep you thinking in a certain way. You know, when you when you have that knowledge and you want to keep that old knowledge that keeps you in that paradigm, that keeps you in that mindset, and you're not willing to learn the new knowledge that's going to expand your paradigm, going to shift your paradigm, then you can't complain why you're still getting what you're getting, because you're not allowing yourself to learn something new that's going to develop or build a new perspective in your life. So you keep this old perspective that is crazy because you're complaining about the perspective that you have, but you're not willing to gain new knowledge that's going to shift that perspective. So you're stuck, and the only thing you can do is just complain about, the how it feels to be stuck, and so the brother, bear with the brother for a little bit. He's going to vent a little bit. We all get there when we're dealing with, our people. Sometimes our people take us there, but he'll get back on point. But I want you to see that what we're doing, which is just sharing information, which is just giving you an opportunity to expand your knowledge base, like we were given the opportunity to do the same thing. But some of us, again, based on our inability to trust one another, will take it in a very negative way. It's almost like the show that was given yesterday. I think it was Brother Forrest, and the young lady was running for senator, and one of the callers mentioned the Buck Law, and she was not familiar with the Buck Law. And here she is running for a senator, and she doesn't even understand some of the legislation that causes the problems that she was complaining about. This is what I'm talking about, understanding new knowledge that's going to expand your knowledge base so that you can understand a lot of the things that are going on today is based on what happened, way back when. I think the Buck Law was established back in 1940, I believe, and here it is, 2023, and I'm not getting on the sister, because I encourage her to continue on, but she's going, and I gave her some more information that I know that she's not familiar with, because if she wasn't familiar with the Buck Law, I know she wasn't familiar with what I was conveying to her. But this is what I'm talking about, brothers and sisters. We're going to have to expand our knowledge base. If you think you can continue to live based on this old knowledge, and you'll find out that this old knowledge is knowledge that was manipulated to keep you thinking in the way that you're thinking, so that you will never overcome the conditions that this knowledge that you're hanging on to created and continues to create until you change that knowledge. And it's fitting that I say the name of the podcast is Knowledge is the New Power. Yes, knowledge is the new power. There is power in knowledge only if you use that knowledge, you see. But before I get started or continue on, I don't want to forget about the disclosure or the disclaimer that we give out, me and Coach T. And I'm hoping that Coach T will bless us with his presence. He's been busy doing the things that we're talking about in this particular case, the trust and other financial information or knowledge that we're going to have to learn, brothers and sisters. We're going to have to learn. You can't run from it. You're going to have to be able to take the time to learn this information. Because let's face it, our background as melanated people is not in finances. Our background as melanated people surely was not in statehood or understanding the process that it takes to go from one jurisdiction to another, to navigate between jurisdiction. Because as you'll find out, that's what building a trust is all about, knowing about jurisdiction. So it's fitting, again, that we talk about what we talk about, because it goes hand in hand as to what we talk about on Knowledge is the New Power. But let me go ahead and give out the disclaimer. Me and Coach T are not financial planners, professional financial planners, nor are we professional tax preparers, estate planners, professional politicians, council people, statesmen, statehoods, or any of those disciplines. But what we are concerned individuals who understand the importance of those disciplines and the importance of having a good relationship with people who are actively involved in those disciplines, so that we can bring this knowledge to our guests here on Knowledge is the New Power, in hopes that they will take this knowledge and use this knowledge and learn this knowledge to help make their world a better place. And so I'm going to go ahead and play a song that promotes us coming together, brothers and sisters. We got to come together. We got a lot of work to do. We got a lot of new learning, new concepts, new knowledge that we have to understand. And if we can't do it together as a family, then how are we going to do it? And so I want to play this tune before I play this video about how sometimes we must lean on you.
I just might have a problem that you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. You just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on. If there is a load you have to bear that you can't carry, I'm right up the road. I'll share your load if you just call me. Call me if you need a friend. Call me if you need a friend. If you ever need a friend, call me. Call me. Call me. Call me. Call me. Call me. If you need a friend, call me. Call me. Call me. Call me. Call me. Call me.
Yes, brothers and sisters, you know, what we talk about on knowledge is the new power. You know, it's not easy. You know, what we're doing on a financial tip with the help of MWR, Making Wealth Real, it's not easy. What we're doing on the statehood tip about decolonizing ourselves, it's not easy, brothers and sisters. But I tell you, we got to do it. And if you need help, call me. I mean that. Call me. Because I know when I need help, I call people. Because what we're doing is not easy at all. It's a lot of psychological unconditioning that you have to do. It's a lot of mental baggage that you're going to have to remove from yourselves. It's not easy, brothers and sisters. That's why I said we're going to have to lean on each other to get through this, because we're all affected. We all are in this. We all are experiencing some type of psychological conditioning, some level, more so than others, but we're all experiencing different levels of psychological conditioning. And we need to lean on each other in order to overcome that conditioning. And so, as I mentioned earlier, you're going to hear Brother Yusuf El, first 5 or so minutes, conveying his frustration because of it not being easy. Some of the things that those of us who have chose to do the work that many of us choose not to, we're human. And so, yeah, we might, release every now and then. We don't mean to, but this stuff is hard, y'all. It's hard on your mind. It's hard on your spirit. Because, we've been lied to. We are a colonized people. And too many of us are in denial of that reality. And it's my job and job of others who are able to do so to look you guys straight in your eyes, straight in your face, and tell you, you have been colonized. And what are you doing to decolonize yourself? And on the financial tip, you have not learned how to take care of yourself financially. You need a trust, period. You need a common law trust. You need to learn the concept of the right to contract, because everything, and I mean everything, is based on contracts. And so it's hard sometimes to convey that knowledge to people who don't understand the importance of receiving that knowledge. And so I want to go ahead and play this video. And I do it in love, brothers and sisters. Lean on me when you're not strong. Let's lean on each other. Because what we're tasked to undo is going to take our ability to lean on each other. Let's go ahead and play this video.
It's Friday, y'all. It's a beautiful day outside. And we're going to be discussing common law trust today. Let me take a phone call real quick. You guys are people with their hands up. Our guest going to be coming in by 10 o'clock. 312 area code 7424. You're on High Frequency Radio.
Man, peace to the gods, man.
Peace, bro.
What's up with you today, bro? I hate that your morning started off like that, man, but I'm going to tell you.
Man.
Thing,
somebody just got under my skin this morning. I don't like that, I'm like, all right, because I got integrity. I try to help everybody as much as I can, but I'm one man. People expect me to walk on water and be Jesus. And it's like, look, I'm not Jesus. You got some responsibility for this yourself. That's why I'm on here taking my time, explaining this so people understand. So you won't have to believe anything. I want you to believe nothing. If you have to believe, ain't nothing going to work for you. With this game we in, you got to know. You got to know. You either know or you don't know.
That's
you
true,
either know
man.
or you don't know.
I'll tell you all the time that I go back to the archives and listen. And I could tell, even in past shows when, like, maybe somebody done got under your skin because they're not holding up to their responsibility. It's almost like they hold your morality against you, knowing that you're going to be the most honorable person in the situation, that they can afford to slack off. And then the first thing, like you said, to come out of a person's mouth when they don't understand is, oh, you cheated me. So I do feel your pain on that one, and I'm pretty sure others do too. But, there's enough of your listeners, man, that know that you try to stay honorable in every situation that you are. That's really the theme of everything that you give to us, is to stay in honor at all times.
Honor at all costs, and, and just really, just learn the material. That's the most important thing. There's nothing, no money that can be paid for the knowledge that you get, because it's going to stay with you forever, and it's going to change your life. The things, because there's going to be a perception, like a lot of people out there listening, and it's all type of people listening. That's why I'm saying, like, a lot of people don't know what I have to contend with. It's a lot of, and I'm always, that's why you don't hear me on this show attacking other people and stuff like that, because we don't have time for it, number one, because, I'm too busy to be trying to engage other individuals and have some type of pissing contest with somebody. But it's always somebody they're looking at, oh, he's over there. There's a lot of people listening to him. Let me see if I can find something wrong, with him or something like that. It's like some old female type stuff, you know what I'm saying? I can, be on some time like that, and I'm like, come on, man, I don't bother you. I'm not bothering you. I ain't did nothing to you. Do your thing. We all out here trying to help, but it seems like people get mad about that, and that's why I came on the air too. I came on the air because when I left Georgia, a lot of people was upset because I left. So I said, you know what? And I erased the first show off my because there's a lot more shows than in my archives than what's in there right now. But when I started this, the reason I started it was for all the people who are as clients and things like that. I said, look, I'm going to give y'all everything, all my knowledge, and because I don't want to leave you with nothing. You can go back, you can listen to it. I'm telling you everything, what to say in court, what to file, how to write things. Now I'm doing the little webinars and everything where I'm showing people, okay, this is what you write, this is what it needs to be said on the paper, all this right here. I'm just doing everything I can to make sure that people know things, and then I'm trying to get guests and bring them on the show so we can benefit from their knowledge. Just everything, just the whole gamut of everything, because I don't want nobody to ever say that I didn't do everything I could for you. But people need to recognize that a lot of that responsibility lays on your shoulders. A lot of responsibility lays on your shoulders. I can't do everything. I'm one man. I got 100 different people calling me. I can't even write everything for that many people. So that's why I stopped doing that. I said, look, I'm not going to take no more clients doing that. All I'm going to do is teach. That's all I'm going to do. Because when you teach, that puts all the responsibility on their shoulders. When you teach,
it does.
It's like, look, and a lot of people like Polite. If he's listening, he should benefit from what I'm saying because he got people complaining about him. You know what I'm saying? To me, about him and other people. You get to that point. That's why you see guys start doing seminars and classes and everything because the money be enticing. When somebody's throwing it at you for them to do something for you, but all money is not good money. It's like, look, I don't even want to, get in. You get to a point, you're like, look, I don't even want to do that no more because, I'm going to take the money, but after the money's gone, the headache is still going to remain.
Yeah, that's that term blood money right there, so I feel you. Exactly. So,
I can't do it no more, man. I can't do it.
I mean, hey, just know that you got a bunch of soldiers out here that are intent on listening. I mean, because I hear people when I come on the calls, when I can't participate in the calls, but I'm listening, and I can tell that they, that their knowledge is growing exponentially. I can only speak from that, and also my personal experience, man. I mean, I've grown exponentially just from listening and researching. I mean, because before I started listening to your shows, I had rabbit trails, and you connected a bunch of dots for me. And you just take solace in that, bro. I mean, because we are out here, Don't let that one or two rotten apples spoil that whole thing for the bunch. Like I said, I've listened to archive shows, and I can hear it in your voice, and I think to myself, the only thing brought him on the call this morning was the love of his people, because I'm going to point out one show in particular where you just came on. He was like, look, I'm just burned out. I'm tired of talking about commercial processes. We need to talk about something else this morning. So, I mean, I feel you. Sometimes when you do start, right, I just see that laugh because you probably thinking back like, man, he hit it dead on the head that day.
I remember.
With what you have started, because you coming from a really good place with your intentions, it has probably grown to the point where it has a life of its own, and you almost feel, well, I won't say almost feel, because you just expressed how responsible you feel for the people that are stuck in certain situations and that do need the help. So, I mean, I feel you, bro. I mean, my thing is anybody that teaches me anything, and I told a young man this summer, he was putting out a job application, he didn't really know how to do it, and he was 19. So I sat down beside him and I helped him fill it out. And for a second, he kind of zoned out on me, and I tapped him. I said, look, young man, anytime somebody helps you do something that you don't know how to do yourself, you honor that person by paying attention so that you can teach somebody else how to do it. And that's just the approach that I take. And I really do feel like deep down a lot of people that come on this call feel the same way because, I mean, you encourage people to share their experiences. I mean, I don't hear you hanging up on people because you disagree with them or cutting people off to the point to where, you know, you have them gird their thoughts. So, I mean, like I said, don't let that one apple spoil it for the whole bunch. But, yeah, I do feel your pain. I understand where you're coming from.
Hi. I appreciate it, bro. I appreciate the kind words, man. Makes me feel a lot better. But, hey, man, I got to get to my guest. They're waiting on me. Let me get to the guest, all right? All right, and I appreciate it, bro. I like it when you call in your cool brother, man. I like your swag, too.
I do appreciate it. I do. Let me ask you one thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Could you take my number down and give me a quick call today? I want to ask you something about the classes. I'm at work, so I guarantee you it won't take more than 3 to 5 minutes.
Okay, now that's cool. That's cool. Hold on, let me write it down real quick. I see your number right here. I got it. Let me grab a pen real quick.
And you got some heavyweight guests coming on today, bro. I have bought the first volume, and the knowledge that I was able to call in and tell you about the will, you know, remember when the young man had the question, and I was like, will doesn't have a signature power. That's where I got that from. I've really been researching this stuff. You started off in the welterweight division with your guests, you know, when you got Brother Bayo and JT, you know, you moved to the heavyweight, and I think you're going to stay there, man, because I'm feeling your body glows. I really am. So I'm going to sit back and listen, man. Get to it.
Okay. All right. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
Peace to the God.
Peace to the gods. All right. Let's see if we can get Gwen and Frank on the phone. Let's see. Right here.
Good morning.
Gwen Wyckoff.
Yes, I have to give you a last-minute change.
Oh, wait. Hold on, because you're on the air right now. I just called you on the air.
You have to put it on mute.
Yeah, hold on. Let me see what's going on. Okay, y'all, I just had to put them on another line. Hold on, y'all. We're going to go right in. Okay, everybody. I would like to welcome Gwen Wyckoff to the show. Welcome to High Frequency Radio. Gwen, how you doing?
I'm doing good, and I'm glad to be here.
Great. I know you told me Frank, he's just a little tied up right now, but he's going to be coming on shortly as well.
Here he is.
I'm here.
Hey, Frank, how you doing?
I'm doing real good.
Great. Let me extend a warm welcome from High Frequency Radio, and let me just introduce you to all the guests. Hi, everybody. This is Frank Ozak. Did I pronounce that correctly?
That's correct.
Oh, okay. And Gwen Wyckoff. They are two individuals who are extremely knowledgeable about common law trust. And you have a website and a book, actually, that you have written on this subject. Am I correct?
No, we have to be technically correct. We are contributors to the book.
Oh, your contributors. Okay. All right. Okay.
The lawsuit we were in, they accused us of writing the book, and that was a huge legal point.
And one of the things is books. Two books.
Yeah, 2 books.
Two books. Well, are these books still available? Can people still get these books?
Yes, they can.
Due to the battle, yes.
Okay. Can you want to go ahead and put that out there where they can get these books? I'm sure they're very interested. Try to find out where to get them from.
Frank, you want to tell them?
Yeah, okay. You can go to Passing Bucks, PASSINGBUCKS.com. And there is a world of information there on the common law trust. There's also information there on the battle we did with the DOJ and the IRS. And you can see the initial paperwork that was presented to us, and you can see the final judgment. And we can no longer aid people in putting a trust together for them.
That means we can't physically put it together.
We can't physically put it together, but we can assist them, help them put it together.
Yeah, we can pass on to you our knowledge.
And then also, which would really key into what's going on, they can go to YouTube, and this video is also on our website. You can go to YouTube and just type in my name, Frank Ozak, or Gwen Wyckoff, and a video will come up by Ben. We were interviewed by Ben Lowry right after the DOJ settlement, and it's an hour and 15 minutes long, and it'll give you the hard nuts and bolts of what we're doing.
And how the court case went, how the discovery went, because it's very complicated.
Could you please repeat
that's
the
how I came across you. I saw the Ben Lowry interview that you did, and I was like, wow, that's very interesting. And then I shot over to the website and, went through the information, and I said, I'd like to have these 2 people on my show. And you were scheduled to be on the show prior to this, everyone. And everybody already know I did a public apology, but there was a mix-up, and so I just want to say one last time, I wanted to extend, I'm so sorry to, for that mix-up that occurred last time you were scheduled to be on the show. That was 100% my fault, and I was deeply troubled about that. So I appreciate you agreeing to come back on the show today. I want to thank both of you, okay?
Well, you seem to be a guy who's on our page, and, we all get overwhelmed, so we can forgive you.
And then a lot of people out there that are looking for trust, they want to try a Massachusetts trust, they want to try a Kentucky trust, a Florida trust, a what's-his-name's trust. And there's one thing that is not available to them, is a trust that has gone through the battle. And Charles Rucker Enterprises, which is a trust which owns the copyright for The Art of Passing the Buck, and the DOJ already knows this, they are a trust that has gone through the battle. And it was proven to the DOJ and the IRS that this trust is legal in the eyes of the federal government.
Oh, okay, well, let's start from here. What is a common law trust? Let's start right there. What is a common law trust?
It's one that is put together as a contract by the people that, in reference to the Constitution, Article 1, Section 10, we have the right to contract. And there's certain specific legal precedents that have established the parts of a trust, but it's the right of the people to create their own trust. You don't have to go get permission from somebody else. And in a common law trust, which is irrevocable, it requires at least one trustee who's not related to the person setting up the trust. The person setting up the trust is a grantor, and he has to do it for the beneficiaries. It's actually really, really simple. But what has occurred because of the extreme power of the common law trust is the dark side of our government has wanted to twist it all up and make it very complicated and very hard for the information to be put together. And there's a lot of disinformation agents out there who used to, and I don't think it's as common now as it was when we started this. They used to like to tell people, you can hide your assets, you can do this, you can do that, and all that. And the way they structured it was to make people put their assets into a trust so that the IRS could take them. So we went in and we researched everything and figured out when they can do that and when they can't. And the trick is you have to have at least one trustee not related to the grantor and at least one beneficiary. But in between those two statements is volumes of information. And so it's basically the right of contract under the United States Constitution that gives people the right to set up their own trust without asking permission from the state, from the government, from anybody else.
That contract basically is with the settlor of the trust or the grantor of the trust and the first trustee.
Yeah, that's where the contract is.
And as far as the government is concerned, it can be set up in such a way, like Charles Arthur Enterprises, that is outside of the jurisdiction of the United States.
Oh, wait. Let's talk about that. Let's get some what does that mean, outside the jurisdiction of the United States? What are we talking about here? What does that mean, outside their jurisdiction? I thought they had jurisdiction over everything.
Yeah, they think they do.
The federal government was hired by the states to administer interstate commerce and banking and a very few other things. And the states are sovereign. The states are actual countries recognized in the world. Like if France wants to do business with California, France is doing business with a sovereign entity. California is a country, which, is left out of the school books. So the federal government which is owned by the Royals and the international bankers, by the way, and it's a separate corporation. And to make sure that they confused everybody, they named it the United States of America, but that's a corporation. And that corporation administers certain things to the states. So a common law trust is part of state jurisdiction. It's not part of federal jurisdiction unless the grantor or the trustees make it part of the federal jurisdiction. And we train people how to administer their trust so they can have a choice as to how they want to do business with the trust.
They can do business inside the jurisdiction of the United States or outside the jurisdiction of the United States. And in our book, The Art of Passing the Buck, in Volume 1, there's a lot of information on jurisdiction in the appendix and Chapter 16 and Chapter 14, and just loaded with things that just covers jurisdiction. It may say privacy, or it may say has the right, and these rights are founded in the IRS code and in the Constitution.
I've been around and around with the IRS, and the thing that I've noticed is they don't touch a trust that is not in federal jurisdiction.
And that's basically how we won our case, because the first thing they came after Gwen and I, in DOJ and the IRS came after Gwen and I for putting the book together. And because we assisted in putting the book together, and we do not own the copyright. Charles Arthur Enterprises owns the copyright. That one, they found out that they had the wrong people. So the judge didn't want the case in her court. So she told me, go to discovery and resolve this. So one, we didn't go to court because we were looking forward to going to court, but we would have had an audience there. And the second thing was, is after discovery, they found out that Charles Arthur Enterprises owns the copyright of the book, and Charles Arthur Enterprises, which is a trust, is outside of the jurisdiction. So what are they going to do? They can't do anything. It's outside their jurisdiction.
Now, this book has to be a powerful book to incite the ire of the IRS, for them to train their eyes on you. How did that happen? How did they find out about you? What
Because we're selling our book to the public.
They don't want that. They
didn't want that.
Yeah, we've had some other dealings with them, and actually there are certain agents that are really, they don't like our names. So I think that's part of it too.
Wow.
Yeah, the stuff that's in this book is really from hardcore experience, being in court and doing the battle on taxes, doing the battle on this, doing the battle on that. And so we are a group of people, like at least 10 people, who have contributed to the stuff in this book. And we also emphasize how to raise your children to become leaders in your family, how to raise your children to become beneficiaries that put money back into the trust, how to raise your children psychologically, what the rich do on how to raise your children. We give you tons and tons of experience with trusts and distributions and how the rich do it and how the poor do it. And we even recommend reading Rich Men, Poor Men by Kawasaki. So, and we wrote volume 1 so that you never had to go and buy volume 2. Volume 2 is very pricey and it's big and it's heavy and it's got tons of court cases in it. You don't have to go there. Just get volume 1, because volume 1 will give you so much information so that if you want to sit down at the computer and do just a living trust on the computer, you will have tons of information of how you want to write that trust.
Yeah, the way that the current system is set up, they want every generation to start over again from scratch. In other words, not have any money in their pocket and go out and get a job and work and be on the wheel the rest of their lives. But if you have your children set up in a trust at an early age, they leave the family and they have a few coins in their pocket, and they can start in the world not from scratch, but having something in their pocket. And they can perpetuate the wealth of the family just by doing that.
Go ahead. I just said it. This just brings a question to mind. Who could benefit from a trust? Who is this for? Because I'd already come to the conclusion. I study this stuff myself, and I see that, in my opinion, this is how everyone really should be kind of conducting their life around it, because this seems like where privacy has its most power inside of trust. Would you agree with that statement, or
yes.
Could you expound on that?
There are certain ways of, first of all, the grantor we never recommend somebody putting all their money in a trust because they really need to have their own cash. But once you put it in a trust, it doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the trust and administered by the trustees. So if it doesn't belong to you, there's no paper trail that it leads back to you. So how much more privacy would you like? That's like the ultimate. And so when assets are put into a trust, let's say you put let's say you got a duplex that you've been getting personal money for a long time, and you decide you're going to transfer the duplex into a trust, and there's 2 trustees, and they're going to administer it. That means they're going to be the property management company, or they're going to hire a property management company. And you've got these renters, and they're paying their rent. Let's say they're paying $800 a month, and so you got $1,600 a month coming in. You used to have it coming into you, right? But
right.
Now it's coming into the trust, and the trust has a whole different financial structure. So now you don't have that $1,600 a month to declare on your income tax, right? So your income tax bill goes down considerably, right? And then within the trust, the trustees do their thing according to the rules and regulations of trusts. And but you as a grantor, first of all, now you don't own it, and second of all, your liability's gone way down.
And then one other thing, caveat you can add to that is, say you own more than one piece of property. One piece of property is bringing funds into the trust. The other piece of property is maybe you had a vacation home that you just leave out there and you go there once in a while. But if you put that in trust, you have the right of use, and the beneficiaries have the right of use. And you could have 3 or 4 different homes all over the country or all over the world that were in trust. You had the right of use, but you don't have the right to sell it, but you can go there anytime you want to. Even cars, you could have the right of use of a brand new Mercedes, a brand new BMW, a nice Lamborghini, but if you don't own it, but you have the right of use, I mean, that's almost like owning it.
It is.
It's a much better way of living.
Yeah, this sounds like the old adage, own nothing, control everything. That's what we're dealing with right here.
Well, in that particular case, that was either Rockefeller or Morgan or one of those big guys who said that. I've heard it so many times you'd think I know who said it. But it's kind of not really exactly true, because if you don't really control it, the trustees really control it,
right? Because
the trustees really own it. But the grantor can be an advisor, and in the big trusts, where the big boys play, that statement's really true because they'll kill the trustee. But with the little trustee, with the little trust, we're not going to kill our trustees. Okay?
Okay, well, wait a minute. But wouldn't the indenture or the declaration of trust dictate what the trustee is required to do as a fiduciary to the beneficiary? Because obviously this thing is called a trust. So you got to find somebody you can trust. That's what it means, right?
Well, yeah, one thing you have to understand, in a common law trust, it's outside the jurisdiction of the United States. The only thing that applies if it ever goes to court is the indenture. Any other laws that are on the books for a state or government do not apply unless it's really inhumane.
The indenture is the rules and regulations, the family of the trust. The grantor sets out what you can do and what you can't do. And it's pretty specific in reference to, let's say he has a son that's disabled. And let's say the kind of disabled is sort of like he's a psychopath. Now, the grantor realizes that someday he might end up in prison or something, or he might end up in a mental institution. So he writes into the indenture his wishes on how to handle a situation like that. The indenture is very personal to the family. It's how the wealth is passed on through what's called trust certificates. It's how education is to be handled. In our trust, what we always recommend, the ones that we had recommended to be set up, we always recommended, for one thing, that your children are encouraged to learn accounting. There's nothing more valuable than understanding accounting to handle money. And if you're going to be a beneficiary or become an officer of the trust in the future, that's kind of one of the things that's very important to know, even if you're going to own your own business. So there's the grantor has a choice of setting up certain rewards, certain encouragements, like you can get extra capital units because you have a child or whatever. You know, these are all.
Or you've taken some extra classes in school that would benefit the trust. And also it has provisions inside it, which can be included inside the trust. In case you have run into a problem of substance abuse, your beneficial rights in the trust can be withheld until you clean up your act.
Right, and these are all spelled out inside the trust indentures. So when you get, let's say, there's been companies that have, and we like these companies because we've seen these trust indentures. We've, stolen some of the ideas, but there are boilerplate trust indentures, and it's okay to get one of those because you can kind of design your own way of doing it, but don't use it as a boilerplate because there's absolutely no way you could do it for your family as a boilerplate. You have to put in your own stuff. You have to know what you're doing. You have to focus on, okay, if this is for my grandchildren, what can I put in here to ensure that they're going to be well taken care of. And by the way, when a baby is born inside a trust, it becomes vested immediately. It has its own capital units. So as the child grows up, he's already a member of the trust and already entitled to participation. It's not like mommy and daddy withholding, torturing you, not telling you what your inheritance is.
Yeah, and in the bigger trust, the children are introduced to the trustees, and the trustees are and the children know that the trustees are there. Try to instill with them that the trustees are there for them in case Mama and Papa goes away.
And as they get older and they go out into the world, the financial issues of the trust are part of their interaction with the trustees, not with their parents.
Well, let me ask you this. If I were to juxtapose a trust with a will, what are the salient features of each, and why would you recommend a will, or can they interact with each other, or can you just tell people what is the distinguishing characteristics of these two entities?
Okay, you have a will, and you've written it up, and you said your house goes to child A, and your antique collection goes to child B, and your bank account goes to child C, and so on and so forth. And you die, and they pull out your will. But you forgot one very important thing, that in order for the goods to be transferred to your beneficiaries, your beneficiaries need the authority to take the stuff. So the house that you die in or have when you die is still in your name at the county, and you're dead, and your signature is the only thing that can be used to transfer the house into the name of the beneficiary.
Can't hear her anymore.
And so on and so forth. So especially the bank account, where you've been signing your checks all the time, and you're the only signer on the checking account. Well, that doesn't work too well, does it? Because now you're dead. How's anybody going to get your money?
One thing you can do in a will situation is provide a power of attorney to the executor. If you do not do that with the will, it goes into probate, and the court will assign an executor of the will, and of course the executor is going to probably be one of the judge's friends, and you know how that will go.
Well, it could be an honest guy, but he's still got to get paid. So a will is much better than nothing, which is intestate. But it's awkward, and if there isn't two signatures or two signers or two owners on everything, which is a living trust, then a will is sort of it works. We wouldn't tell you not to do it, but it's very awkward. And then the next step up is a living trust, where there is those duplicate signatures, so if one person dies, the other person has access to everything. So that's the difference.
Okay.
In an irrevocable trust, of course, you don't own it, so the trustees, which are perpetual with the trust, have total signature power, and it goes on and on and on, and nobody dies, so you don't have the probate problem.
The grantor could die, and the beneficiaries, even the trustees, could die, but there's always somebody waiting in the wing to step into that position, except for they can't step in for the grantor, because once the grantor dies, those powers get transferred to the trustees automatically.
Oh, that's good information to know. Let me change channels here real quick. Let's talk about patriot mythology. Okay, we got a lot of people. We got a lot of people out there who, like, every time I look around, somebody's putting together a trust. And when I started studying trust management, I was like, man, this don't look like this some easy stuff. This is, it's very interesting. It comes naturally to me because once you understand jurisdiction and public and private, it kind of just flows with me. Everything is just, I understand the court cases when I read them, why the judges rule in certain ways. I understand minimum contacts, all these different things. But give me your insight on this. What are the patriots thinking that they can do with these trusts? And do they have the right idea or do you think this is, they just got the wrong perception about this entire thing about dealing with trusts?
For background, one is that Gwen and I both in the early 90s became citizens of California.
Yeah, state citizens. So we are very entrenched
and we have numbers that can prove it.
Yeah, we're very entrenched in the whole patriot thinking. And so for us to get into the trust business, we had to realign our thinking. So one of the things is that the state citizen movement was about jurisdiction, 100%. It taught us the difference between the federal jurisdiction and how the income tax played in the issue of jurisdiction. And we both, Frank and I, sat at the feet of Richard McDonald and listened to the court cases. And I don't know, I must have done that for 6 or 7 years. So we understand the thinking, and we believe the thinking is correct. We wouldn't argue with that. We would argue with the fact that reality is quite different than how the laws are written. There's an awful lot of people that are not associated necessarily with the state citizenship movement, but they are very, very keenly interested in the taxes and getting out of taxes. And they understand that the income tax is questionable in its legality. And so they look at a trust as to get out of taxes. And they don't know how a trust gets you out of taxes. But it's usually a tax thing when a patriot comes and wants a trust. And the trust system is set up for beneficiaries and long-term gain. And if you follow that logic, if you follow that desire, if you think of your grandchildren when you're setting up a trust, you get the benefits that we mentioned before, which is, you put your assets into trust, you don't own them, and so you don't, you're not taxed on it. But first of all, patriots usually are in a rush to get a trust. They want to get one immediately, which is not possible. A real trust is like fine wine. It has to distill. Tremendous amount of education is needed to be able to walk between the federal and the state jurisdictions. You have to know, when you're filling out paperwork for a trust, you have to know what words to cross out and what words to replace with trust. And I mean, there's unbelievable details, and to keep your status as a state-based trust, it's just a huge amount of information. But patriots are usually in a panic. They usually want to have their trust now because there's some big amount of money coming eventually. And let's say that's true. Let's say they are going to get a big amount of money eventually. You have to have your trust in place and operating and a bank account to receive the money long before you get the money. And I think in some states it's as low as 18 months, and other states it's like 3 years before a trust is, I don't know what kind of legal word they use. But,
seasoned.
Seated, S-E-A-T-E-D. So, there's tremendous amount of information about trusts, and if I'd have known about trusts, I would have only done trusts.
You would have only done trust? That's all you would have done?
Yeah. I never would have done anything else. I just would have done the trust.
And that's my. Now I'm going to give you, and we're going to go into some questions, and we're going to talk about Puerto Rico for a second, because when I got into this, I got into it dealing with the criminal justice system, and I found out that everything was a tax. I don't know if you're aware of it now, but the IRS has their hands in everything, because the Federal Reserve are basically. Would you agree that our government is being run by the Federal Reserve?
No, it's being run by the banks and the big corporations.
Yeah, the corporations. I thought that was redundant. It's actually being run by the Royals.
The Royals. Yeah,
the Royals. And the Vatican.
And the Vatican. Because I saw, when I was studying this information, I came across some information where this individual, he had pulled his individual master file, an unsanitized version, and found out that he was categorized as a drug dealer coming out of Puerto Rico. And so he wrote the commissioner of the IRS, and he sent them a certified mail letter requesting a response and asking why this was, because he's never been to Puerto Rico. He said, look, I've never even been to Puerto Rico. Why do you have me flagged as this right here? And it came out
basically. Drug dealer, huh?
Yeah.
And this has come out that they basically have categorized almost everybody in the country like this. So
yeah, because they can.
Because they can.
That was one question that the DOJ posed to us during discovery. Is it says here that you have it's in volume 2 that the seat of the IRS is in Puerto Come and they said, well, you have to pull that out of the book. That's not true. And they did the research on it on our footnotes in the book, and they found out that it was, and they come back to us and they say we withdraw the question.
Well, they didn't admit to it. They just quit insisting and just kept getting dropped out. You know what's so funny, when we were in discovery, there's a bunch of paperwork that goes back and forth, and they accused us of this, and we deny this, and blah, 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 and go on. And each time they did this, their paperwork got less and less and less. It was very, very funny. But if anybody wants to look it up, it's on the internet. It's an 18-page article by William Cooper, and it's under the title of BATF. You can put BATF in a search engine and put William Cooper with it. It'll probably come right up.
Yeah, I'm putting it in. I'm putting it in the chat room.
Pardon?
Oh, go ahead. I'm putting it in the chat room right now. I've read it before. I know what you're talking about. William Cooper wrote Behold a Pale Horse. For all of you out there who don't know who William Cooper is, he wrote a book called Behold a Pale Horse. And he's an ex-Navy military officer, and who was exposing a lot of information that was the general public was unaware of.
Yeah,
but
he was one of the first really big whistleblowers out there.
He was. He really was. And Behold a Pale Horse is still relevant today. That book is still relevant. I go back and read that book now and still pull stuff out of it.
Yeah, I knew him personally because I ran the magazine, Perceptions magazine, in the middle 90s, and he had Veritas out at that time, and so he and I would talk on the phone. I loved that man. He was crazier than a loon, and he was he drank a little too much, but my heart I just loved him, and that's how come I was so intimate with this article, because when he discovered the executive orders and all the stuff that created the IRS in Puerto Rico, he and I were on the phone talking about it. He was so excited because that's the toughest stuff to, dig out. And so the actual article in Veritas is on the website. And so you can look up, Veritas would be another keyword. It's so there. It's unbelievable. And CAJI Newswire Service, it's all there. You'll find it.
What's interesting, I have some associates who have some IRS problems, and they found out that the IRS agents don't even know the law. And I'm going to have Sherry Peel Jackson. She's an ex-IRS agent. She's going to be on the show next month on the 8th. And she was on I don't know if you've seen the movie by Aaron Russo's From Freedom to Fascism.
Right.
She's the lady on there who, would try to get the $50,000 bet. They say, show us a law that says we have to pay income taxes. Let me talk about that and see if you agree with me. I say that you do have to pay income taxes because that name that they are taxing is not you. It is a franchise of the United States. An individual is considered a corporate entity. Would you agree with that or not?
No, I would simply say that they're bigger than you.
Basically, if you look up the word income, it always refers to the IRS code. So if you have income and you declare you have income, it is taxable.
Yeah, so if you don't have income, is it taxable?
You have to be.
Well, anyway, I can't go there. So
Right. Right. Okay.
Okay. Let me just say this about that. It doesn't even matter whether you have income or not. Once you got a number and once you filed, you're screwed for the rest of your life, and you can't get out of it, even if you go to court, because the judge will be killed if he rules in your favor. So, you can go through all the kinds of paperwork you want. You can jump through hoops. You can, threaten people, whatever you do. You're going to have to pay your income tax because you filled it out the first time, period. And they don't care, and they don't have to care. They own you. An IRS agent doesn't have to know the law. They're there to break you. They only exist to break you and to hound you. They do not exist because of any other reason. So, all your paperwork, you might as well burn it. Until the government changes, you're not going anywhere. I'm sorry, that's black and white. And I speak from hardcore experience.
Yeah, I had a gentleman, he was the president of the Republic of Texas. Have you heard of the Republic of Texas?
Yes.
He actually got arrested, and I met him in jail, actually, when I first started learning this years ago. And he told me the same thing. He said, it doesn't matter. He said, it doesn't matter about the law. He said, they're going to do what they want to do, and it seemed like almost he was kind of broken a little bit, but he made me aware of some things. One thing that stood out of my mind, he told me about the mini essay, and he talked about how when you go into court, if they don't say court is in session, you're in chambers. He taught me a lot of stuff, but he said the same thing that you're saying, that they just don't follow the law at all. It's like
they follow a sort of a guideline. If the law is not on the books, they'll make sure it gets there by the time you go to court.
Yeah. Yeah, Frank and I have both been there, done that. But we're supposed to be talking about trust, so let's get back on that.
Yeah, let's get back to that. All right, let's get back to that. Question, it says, in the latest, it got some questions from some individuals. They said, in the latest audio on the Passing the Buck site, it was mentioned about the IRS Puerto Rico Trust Connection. Other than what is available on the web, is there any self-authenticating hard documentation evidence I could acquire to learn more about this? I guess we were just talking about...
we just talked about that.
We just talked about that. Okay, and let's see what else we got here. It says... in a previous interview, Gwen mentioned that it was by pure luck that your battle with the Department of Justice was a success. How effective is the program described in Passing the Buck at defending a common law irrevocable trust from compromise?
Okay. Then the answer to that was we were lucky that the judge could recognize from our initial paperwork that we had a substantial argument, and probably recognized that we were not the ones who owned the book. So in order to get such a twisted and sticky situation out of her courtroom, she turned it over to discovery. And that means it's not in the courtroom. You settle it with the DOJ attorney outside the courtroom. And the DOJ attorney was really shocked that she did that, by the way.
And also, it's on our website in the DOJ Win versus Win section, that the signature of the judge has final signature on all the paperwork going through. So the judge agreed to the final stipulation against Gwen and I.
All right. So the other luck was, and I give the DOJ attorney, and you can get his name on the website if you want to, I give him full credit for acknowledging the law, obeying the law, and following the law. Because when we showed him the laws, he would back down, he would remove it from the table, and we were able to, so we were lucky with the judge, and we were lucky with a good attorney. I mean, he was excellent. But we had to show him in black and white what the laws were. And, of course, there's nobody in the federal government that has a huge background in trust law. This kind of situation just doesn't get that far. So we had all the court cases, and we had all the background, and we had all the IRS codes, and we just laid it on them and kept laying it on them and kept laying it on, and then the thing just kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller on their side. So we were very lucky in that sense, in that they did obey their own laws when it was laid down and showed to them. And then they tried to accuse us of a few other things, but it was just silly because the paperwork and everything else just showed that, we were doing trust to help the family establish themselves to hold together for generations. That's what we were doing. We weren't doing anything else.
We weren't putting trust together so people could evade paying income taxes.
In fact, the most safe place for people, if they're going to get a trust, the safest position for the grantor is to continue paying your income tax, because then they don't look at you and then they don't investigate the trust, and and so the grantor's income tax will go way down, but as long as they keep paying it, the likelihood of them being investigated is nil. So then you got your trust, and that's a whole different ballgame.
So don't draw attention to yourself, basically,
right.
is what you're saying.
Be really quiet.
Are there any cases in particular that stand out in your mind that, the listener could go and research for himself, or, just one? I know you probably have some of those in the book, but is there anything that stands out in your mind that is like just this case, like you can see right here that this was a well put together situation? Or anything like that.
One that's in our book is Betts versus the Commissioner of the IRS.
Oh, yeah, that's the one I was just going to mention. Frank and I are so often on the same page. Betts, B-E-T-T-S versus the IRS Commissioner. It's an old case. I think it was in the 40s. And it went on and on and on. The IRS tried every which way to break that man. Oh, man, did they try.
And he had a trust.
And he had a trust, and he set up the trust, and he was the grantor, but he hired 2 trustees. So on that particular trust were 3 trustees. In that particular case, the grantor can be a trustee as long as he doesn't own it. He owns it in a collective situation. And he must have had buco money. He must have had a lot of money. He was an investment. He made money out of, he was a stockbroker is what he was. And he had a mother and a sister and somebody else who were his beneficiaries, and they were receiving from his trust a monthly allotment, a monthly distribution. And he never took a dime for himself from the trust. And this trust was set up totally correctly, absolutely to the T. And the IRS tried to break it, and they tried 3 times to break that trust. And so if you read that court case, you really get the flavor of the intricacies and also the standard, absolutely standard robotic procedure of the IRS in trying to break a trust. It's a core piece of information, and anybody who's interested, they really should read that court case.
Wow, I mean, I just wrote that down. I'm definitely putting that on my list to go and get and pull up. I had one more question from the audience. Where was that at? Can a trustee be the majority exchanger in a common law trust? And first of all, what is a majority exchanger?
Okay, when a person puts money into the trust, or a house into the trust, or the car into a trust, they exchange it for what's called trust capital units. And trust capital units are treated legally just like stock certificates, which means that they don't have any value till they're cashed out. So let's say the trustee, there's 2 levels of this kind of trust. There's one for the very rich, and then there's one for the middle class, okay? The very poor, they don't have any money to put into a trust, so it's no use in doing a trust. So we'll say it's a very rich trust. We'll say it's one of the billionaire trusts. In that particular case, the trustee buys their positions. And in buying their position, they get the majority of the trust capital units, which is the law. The trustee has to own 51% of the trust capital units. Now they have to own the majority. There's a whole different ball game in how you separate that 51% if you want to have more than one trustee. But no other exchanger can have any more trust capital units than the first trustee. Right. So in the middle class trusts, where people don't have that much money, they have, maybe $800,000 to fund the trust. Okay, and that isn't cash flow. That's goods like a house and other things. So they don't have a lot of money they don't have enough assets to attract those heavy-duty, high-end trustees. In fact, they don't even know anybody in that realm, but they do have friends that have a good background. And so a friend may step in and be the trustee, but they don't have money to invest into the trust to buy the capital units. So they also in order for the trust to be substantial and substance of transaction, they still get the 51% of the trust capital units. And so the trustee holds 51% of what's called the corpus of the trust.
And one other thing, also, if the trust has something, say like a patent or something like that, is holding a patent, and somebody wants to buy into the trust and wants to offer more money, and say the trust capital units are, say they're each worth $100 each, and he wants to put in, say $100,000, so that would be buying more than what the trust capital units are worth. He can put that money in, and what happens at that particular situation is that the trust capital units split.
Well, that's a really complicated thing.
It's a really complicated thing, but it's just like preferred stock splitting.
It's like preferred stock splits, yeah. And
right.
As a matter of fact, it's ran very similar to a corporation that issues stock certificates. The difference being that the stockholders, they have some say-so, but in a trust, particularly irrevocable trust, the capital unit holders don't have any say-so of how the trust is operated. That's all 100% done by the trustee.
Yeah, the trustees are the only ones who hold voting units. But so anyway, the trustee always has to have the majority. Now, what has happened in some of the trusts is these trustees come on. They didn't put any money in, but they got the trust capital units. And then the grantor and the beneficiaries, they start whining and complaining, and they're unhappy, and they want it all back. Well, they want it all back minus 51%. And the trustee didn't put in anything. So he gets 51% of the cash out because he owns the capital units. So that stops people from cashing out their trust. The purpose of the trust is to have it last for generations. So this particular situation with the trust capital unit stops the desire to cash out the trust.
Wow, that is an ingenious method of doing that. You just taught me something right there. I never thought about that, but that definitely would prevent someone from being desirous to cash out.
Well, it stops a lot of people from getting a trust also, because we like to call it the white man's disease. It's mine, and I don't want anybody else to have their hands on it. And if they put it in trust, yeah, it was theirs, but now trustees own 51% of it.
And this is absolute fact in law. When you start getting into trusts and start dealing with it, and they start talking about trust capital units, these people, they lost their court case because the trustees didn't have 51%.
Wow.
It's in there. Betts was a statutory irrevocable trust, so they didn't have trust capital units. But in an irrevocable common law trust, there's plenty of cases. I mean, they were listed in Volume 2, and some of them are listed in Volume 1, where, this is interesting, speaking of that. You say the bank is the trustee of my trust, my statutory trust, and it's irrevocable, and the bank is the trustee. That's been taken to court. The banks cannot be trustees because they cannot take 51%. They can only get 7%. And so
now, is that like trust. Okay, so does that in any kind of way like when we deal with these real estate investment trusts on Wall Street, because people are getting foreclosed on left and right, and the bank says they are the trustee for blah, 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 2007 trust, blah, blah, blah. Are you saying that that's impossible? They can't be the trustee for that trust?
That's right. They can't because they're only getting 71. They only get 7. As a trustee, a bank will only take 7% of it. That's the maximum they can take by law. It's in volume 2, that particular.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I've read some prospectus where I think they get like about 2%, 3%, something like that.
It's not an irrevocable trust, and they don't own it.
Wow. That's some good information. I hope everybody out there caught that jewel before it hit the ground.
Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of stuff. I mean, Frank and I together, we've been managing trust, building trust, doing things for, I don't know, sometimes we say 10 years, sometimes we say 15, because we kind of really don't know.
More than that now.
And we have all kinds of those little kinds of pearls. So, and if you want to get volume 2, that means you're real serious about putting together a trust. Let me tell you, volume 2, which has a huge amount of information in it and will drown you, is nothing compared to what Frank and I know.
One thing, I don't know how much longer we have, but before we go, if people go to passingbucks.com and sign up for a free gift, it's right on the left-hand side. We'll trap their email address and name, and we send out newsletters every now and then, and that's how maybe a lot of people are hearing this right now, but this coming week we'll probably have a special on the books, so they can get their name. If they're on our e-list, they will get an email
with the codes.
With the discounts code for buying the books.
Yeah, the printer of our book gave us a great big bonus and screwed up on the glue, on the binding, and so we have books that have just a little tiny bit of too much glue on the first page and the last page. Everything else on those books is absolutely perfect, and no one would know about this except we can't afford to sell defective stuff. And so there's a discount. You can either get one without the glue problem, or you can get one with a discount with the glue problem. And so if you sign up for a free gift, we'll be sending out the discount code shortly.
Okay. Now, one last question, because this just came to my mind in listening to some of the things that you were just saying. If someone was to hire you to do a trust for them, how much responsibility do you put on them to learn things? Like, I know some people, and what they'll do is they'll put the trust together, but they'll say, hey, look, you got to buy this book, and you're going to have to learn this book too. You're going to have to know this stuff. Are they required to know it, or is this, well, just put the trust in, you do everything for me?
We're not going to be there to defend them. They can buy the books, they can read both books, and they can hire us on an hourly basis as a support to help them put their trust together. But we will train them and their board of trustees on how to manage a trust correctly. And once they go, and if they have a problem, they can call us up and ask us questions, but we're not going to be there to defend them. Their board of trustees is the main core, and they have to know it. And that's basically, we were putting trusts together for people before, and we had one trust go out of here. It was 35 pounds of paper. And the people got the books, and they had them for 5 years. The only thing they did was sat behind the box of books, and I'm protected from the government because I have these books. They never did bother to read them.
This is the trust books, not the art of passing the buck. This is the trust books that we put together for them. And we also went to their board meetings every once in a while and gave them some more education. We also told them exactly what was going to happen with the IRS. We also fed them everything they possibly could know, but did they ever bother to pick up a law book or anything? No. Did they ever think that they were on the line? No. Did they ever think that their assets were not protected, not because they didn't have the right paperwork, but they were not protected because they didn't have the knowledge? Oh, boy. What a mess that was.
When they were attacked, they resisted for a while, but after a short distance, they caved.
Yeah, and they never learned so many of the things that we had told them, So it was like, oh, well, there's not much we can do.
So therefore, that's one reason why we decided not to build trust for people anymore, because if you don't know it, you're going to get hurt by it. And by us educating people and duplicating ourselves, we want the people to know exactly what we know. If I could take my brain...
Well, I got to just interrupt you. Did everybody out here hear what he just said? Before I brought you on the show, I was having, I have clients. I don't do trust work or anything, but I got accused of basically my integrity was attacked. I didn't complete a job for someone. And it was the same thing you said. I don't do it anymore because I said I would take individuals, I would sit them down. I would say, here, this is what you need to read. Here's the paperwork that goes with it. You need to read this stuff. I'm not going to be there. I cannot defend you. And I got out of the business and just started just showing people how to do things themselves, because it seems like when you do it for them, they'll end up attacking you. I would get attacked, if I did it for them. But I said, okay, well, look, I'm going to make you responsible for your own stuff, because the way I look at this, especially when dealing with private information, I think at the core of it is there is responsibility. A person is responsible for when you do private things, that means you're not taking any benefits or privileges from the government. You have to learn how to be responsible for yourself. And this is what I see is lacking in the American society today. And I guess this is going to be a good little segue, Gwen, for us to go into what we were talking about last night. But would you go ahead and talk about that a little bit?
What? You mean do you mean that article I told you on the other website?
Yeah, what's happening with the planet, I don't know if you want to talk about that or not.
Did you look it up?
I got Kettler's up on Kettler's website.
Well, I want to stop it there, but I hope you got something out of the video and lets you know that we need to know about trust and how to start our own trust and how to maintain our own trust and how to get our children involved in the process. It's funny because you have your individual trust, but what we're doing on the statehood side, you might say that it's just a statewide trust. So once you know the ins and outs of creating a trust, it's a way to really organize your life, financially. It really gives you a good way to organize your life to include your children's and your children's children's, because once you organize by way of a trust, then you can pass that down to the next generation. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the lines for any comments that you may have. Okay, brothers and sisters, you got the floor. You have any questions or anything about the trust? It's really a whole new way of thinking, a way that we as melanated people haven't done, and we need to start doing it, because if we're going to start accumulating wealth, then we need to know how to manage it. not just for ourselves, but more importantly, for our children. And it's information that is available to each and every one of us. And again, it's that knowledge that changes or shifts our paradigm. And so this is just another way of shifting our paradigm for the better. And so if there's no more questions, I'm going to go ahead and start ending the call. And I'm going to really go over these trusts for the next couple of weeks because it's so important. We really need to understand the power of a trust. We really need to understand that it's really the beginning of that's really the beginning of accumulating wealth that we need to start accumulating instead of starting. As you notice, they talked about how the IRS is designed to get us to start over each generation so that we won't be able to accumulate wealth. Well, a trust gives you an opportunity to accumulate wealth so the next generation won't have to start from scratch. Think of it, think how you more than likely had to start from scratch. Your mother and father didn't leave you anything, and so you had to start from scratch. Well, if you have any children, what are you leaving your children? Are you doing the same thing that your parents did to you? Whereas, you have managing your life through a trust, accumulating that wealth through a trust, and giving an opportunity for your children to do the same thing, and then their children to do the same thing. That's how you accumulate generational wealth, and that's what we're talking about. So we got to stop thinking about the old paradigm of our or what our parents might have taught us, and start thinking about the new paradigm that you can start. You can be the individual to start that in your family, and so that you don't have to, or the next generation don't have to start from scratch like you have. You can be the person to stop that cycle from repeating itself. And so with that, I'd like to thank everybody for coming on board and spending some time with me and Coach T. I look forward to spending more time with you next week. I want to really give the subject of trust its just due, because like I said earlier, trust is just like the name states. We're going to have to develop trust within ourselves so that we can take it to the next level. Immediately following this show is Positive Impact with Sister Deborah, and then immediately following her show is The Health Man with Brother Abdul. I look forward to spending some time with you next week. As always, I love you all, and there's nothing you can do about it. I hope that the weeks coming up will be a great week for you. Take care. Peace.